What a lovely, lovely day. We're doing brakes. Gross. Well, we were in the thick of it. I got the cover off, and the whole project is going to come down to how well that fitting wants to go back in there. I fight with it anytime it's off. We are also going surgical. 100% asbestos brake pads. That's not good stuff. If I was in California right now, I'd probably have cancer. Must be hard living in California. Here we go. Alright. Forgive my camera, and I'm using my left hand. I had to pull a glove off because she is greasy in there. This is actually the inside brake. Yeah, that's how greasy it is. This was green when I started. So the inside brake, this one went like that. One side you can see just smeared full of oil. The back side looks like brand new yet. So since this doesn't have oil on it, that inside seal must be pretty good. And guessing how much of a pain that is, I will have a long, hard decision on if I want to replace it or not. I got it, but I hate doing seals. They make me nervous. But yeah, this brake pad is, especially on the back here, it's like new. But I got new ones. So I gotta clean all this crap up because it is just caked. Yeah, so here's what a pretty much new brake disc looks like. This was the outside brake disc. There is nothing left of this one. And if we look on here, it's actually stuck on here. When I picked this tractor up out of the swamp, this side brake was actually locked up. That's handy. This side brake was actually locked up. I had to pull this cover off, and when I did, pretty much everything just fell right out of it. So I put it all in except for this backing plate. We loaded it on the trailer, and yeah, I tried smelling in here to see if it smelled like hydraulic oil coming out of the piston or gear oil coming out of this seal, and it just smells like asbestos and burnt brakes. So I probably shouldn't have smelled that, but I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and decide on if I want to do that seal or not. We shall see. I might wait till I do the other side, because if that side is, the seal is leaking, I'll replace that side, and if I replace one side, I'll replace the other side. If they're both not leaking, Well, through a lot of scrubbing, I got all these parts pretty clean. I gotta grab some more brake clean just to get rid of the oily film off it. I did a lot of hand work with diesel fuel. That was red when I started. But that seal on the inside, I measured, and and my oil level is actually, just a second. So I measured, and my oil level is actually like right up here. So if I would pull that seal out, I would have to drain the whole transmission. I don't want to do that. And that seal ain't leaking, so it's staying. If it ever does leak, I'll know, and I'll know what's going on, so I can drain it and do it then if it comes to that. I probably should do it just so my new pads don't get soaked in gear oil, but that's just a lot. In between this project, we've been servicing all the tractors, an oil change, all new filters, and greasing them, and it's really killed my enthusiasm to keep working on this thing, but I'm kicking away at it. So I actually ordered 4 discs, because there's supposed to be 2 on each side, and it turns out there's 3 on each side. So Dad's running to go pick up some more. Luckily we called the dealership and they had 2 on hand. I'm guessing they probably had a full set, but I only needed 2. So I'm kind of waiting on those and some brake clean to get everything good and degreased, and then they can go back together. But it's going. Alrighty, got everything good and cleaned up. Got our rods back in there, new springs, all 3 of the separator plates. I now have 3 brake discs for each side. Like I said, I'm not replacing that seal. That seal is actually a double lip. There's a lip on the inside and a lip on the outside. And I mean, as you can see down there, we really get in there. There is nothing for wet, oily stuff coming out. So I'm 99.9% sure that that seal is not leaking, and I'm a little worried to put new brake disc in and it potentially leaking, but I hate putting seals in because I never trust myself to do them. I've never had one go bad yet, but it makes you nervous. So I will definitely, there's a little hole down here that oil will come out of if this sealer, that piston's leaking. So as long as I keep an eye on that, catch it right away, if anything happens, I should be alright. So we're gonna throw something together. Man, doesn't that look pretty? Pretty and safe. Alrighty, we got all our brake disc separator plates and the big backer plate in, and man, there is a good inch yet, and these springs, I can't push it, so definitely gonna have good spring pressure to release the brakes, which is good. You don't want a brake hanging up, so that's good. Now we just got to get the cover on and try to get this fitting back in, and I've had that fitting off I think 3 times now, and each time has been a colossal pain, so we'll see how that goes. We'll get that on, get the other side off, tore apart, cleaned up, put back together, and then I gotta bleed these because there's a, well, I'll show you. So this right here is actually a piston, and even when you push it with your parking brake, you can see that pops out a little bit. So that's actually a hydraulic chamber. It's empty right now, so you gotta hit your brakes to push hydraulic fluid into it, and then hit the little breather down over here to let the air out. Back and forth, just like you would a car. So we'll get this piece on. So there's actually so much pressure on the springs I can't get this cover on. I got it a little gap up there, but big gap down here, and I can't get these bolts. They're only like 1 inch. So when your gap's too big for the bolt, just get a longer bolt. just gotta bleed it and get the parking brake set up. This side's done. On to the other side. Yeah. Now I remember why I did the other side first. If that's not bad enough, there's also a step here, so. Oh boy, let's start digging. Alrighty, I got the cover cracked off, and the overwhelming smell of greasy, burnt brakes is filling the air, so we shall see what this one looks like compared to the other side. Well, surprise, it is actually quite dry in there. It stinks like portable brakes, but the outside one is actually damn near new. So we're gonna keep tearing and see what these brakes look like. This thing is gouged up something awful. That brake, ugh. Oh, the correct thing to do would be to machine that, but that's pricey. These separator plates are like $160 a piece to buy new. I got no idea what it costs to machine them. They're only, I don't know, 9 inches in diameter. Huh. I'm pretty sure this one was leaking, but there was no sign of oil in here. Oh well, it's out. Let's get new seals. Okay, so this side was in, and there's really no oil down around that bearing. There is some on the bottom, so I don't know if it just wasn't leaking as bad as the other side, but this would be the side that's in up against that seal, and there's really no, this is dry. You flip it over, of course my light drops. God damn. This is the other side. She's not terrible, but you can tell there's oil on it, so we're gonna clean her up, put the new ones in. I'll probably keep these discs over here for spares if that one on the nerve pump ever needs them, or the 270. I think these would be the same brakes as that. I'd have to look. But let's get cleaning. Alright, got both sides put together, and I got the parking brake adjusted. Need someone to come along so they can hold brakes for me so I can get those set up. But that's about it right there. And yeah, 2 inches yet to spare, so. And those are easy to adjust. You just run that screw there in, so I ain't too worried about that. I was gathering all my tools up, and I picked up this big set that was supposed to go in my truck. It hasn't got there yet. All sorts of sockets in there, and I really like they put this side up instead of do not open on this side, because these sockets will fall out if you pick it up from that side. I'll give you one guess what I did the first time I opened this. I think this is like 300 some piece. Most of them are sockets. Most of them fell out. Not a good call. Instead of putting this side up on the back side, put this side down, or do not open, something. But I got that on sale, and I finally will have a set of tools in my truck rather than stealing tools out of here and questionable if they get back. If I lose these, it's no big deal. But I am gonna go see if I can find somebody to help me set up brakes. I guess I can put fenders on now. Might do that. Alright, got the brakes all bled, caps back on. As long as I had it in here, I figured I'd do some improvements to the parking brake, because before the thing would lay all the way down to the floor. You'd have to pretty much stand up, well, bend over, pick it up, and now it rests there where you can actually grab it from the seat, so that'll be nice. But that little tab there is what clicks into lock, and it always wants to kick in. So what I think I'm gonna do is just take this little washer here. Just gonna weld this washer right here to kind of keep this rod from wanting to push over. Simple. Hopefully it works. It should, because with that rod clicked over, it's hard to do one-handed. Click that over. Anyway, take my word for it. If that rod's over, it engages by itself like it should. Because the way it's looking, I'm going to leave the platform and fenders on it for this year. Hopefully get that cab finished. But I got steel coming to do a ceiling. Well, it's here. It's down on the driveway. I went and stacked up a bunch of old stuff a neighbor just wanted to get rid of, so hopefully for this winter I get a nice ceiling in here and then insulate on top of it, and it'll be nice and warm, and I can actually do stuff in here. Well, I can actually do stuff in here and be warm. So I'm gonna get that over there welded up. This thing is almost, I gotta change oil yet. I might change oil. I don't have a filter for it, but I might get a filter later. Probably should. So I don't know if I'm gonna change oil in an hour, just wait till I have a filter. I might forget either way. I either forget that I changed the oil, and then I'll change the oil again and put a new filter on, or I'll just forget to do it. I mean, I wouldn't forget. Oh, not with this one. So yeah, I get this one wrapped up. I gotta bring the other one in. That has a fuel leak, and actually the brake pads that I pulled out of this thing were still, that one's a little greasy, but the backside's good. We're still pretty good, so I'm going to take a look at the brakes in the other one to see if they need it, because that one sits on the ramp in the pit, and the parking brakes got to work really good. Otherwise the tractor will roll into the pit. So alright, I'm going to get at this thing. Alright, so for anyone who just watched, I had to delete the last 15 minutes. I just rambled on about this rod. So instead of welding something on here to brace this rod, I'm just gonna bend this rod, and then this little part down here, I'm just gonna put some washers back there to shim it over.
Hey.
No welding.
Hey.
The answer is not always a welder, but you always can.